Hello everyone, Robert here. I'm starting to receive questions about the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 and what some of the major components of the bill are. So I figured I'd make a series of messages, videos, blog posts, articles, and such to break down the bits and pieces of what are in the bill and answer some of your most frequently asked questions. The overwhelming majority of questions I've received so far pertain to not any of the tax credits or anything like that. Just the question I'm getting most is the IRS really going to hire 87,000 new IRS agents or auditors? So I wanted to focus on that first and set the record straight, sort of dig into what the true facts are, because there's a lot of rumors being spread and whatnot. So let's just sort of dive right into this topic. The bill itself doesn't mention any headcount numbers. It doesn't say the IRS is going to hire 87,000 auditors, but there is some information out there from May of 2021 where I guess if you connect the dots, you can kind of get to the outcome that's being assumed. So I put a chart on the screen here and I'll walk you through sort of what my takeaways are from this. This page is actually from a report that came out in May of 2021 from the American Families Tax Compliance Agenda. So this is a study that had been done way back when the Build Back Better Act was being put together. And the big question that the report was trying to answer is, if we invest more money in the IRS, what's the payback, right? So I think what they had laid out back then was an investment of roughly 80 billion. And at that point in time, they were thinking, hey, with increased enforcement, we'd be able to derive more income or revenues, tax revenues of about $316 billion over the course of 10 years. So these numbers aren't anywhere in the actual act that's been passed, but this is sort of the seed that was planted back when the original idea was brought up. So one key line on the chart here has to do with the headcount, the hiring spree, if you will, that's planned. And back in May of 2021, the hiring or the assumptions that they had made in putting these numbers together were 5,000 new hires in 2022, 11,000 or 12,000 in 2023, and so forth, right? So this is where the number's coming from, this 86,852 in a report sort of related to the Inflation Reduction Act, but not directly spelled out within it. But there was a hiring plan, let's say, to get 87,000 more IRS employees over the course of 10 years to rebuild that department. So I guess the biggest question people are asking is, 87,000 more IRS agents, are they going to be knocking on doors tomorrow? That answer is definitely no. It's going to take a very long time to hire that many people and to grow out that department. And even in last year's assumptions, they were thinking, hey, in the first year, maybe we get 5,000, second year, 12,000, third year, we're up to 18,000, right? So incrementally, this is 5,000 hires, 6,000 hires, 7,000 hires, all the way up until they get to this 87,000 number. So hiring is going to be tough. I think we're all seeing as business owners, everywhere you go, there's staffing shortages. The IRS is going to have a hard time hiring any people, let alone 87,000 this year, right? And that wasn't their plan in the first place. It was to hire, maybe 5,000 or 6,000 per year until they get to this sort of big number way out in 2031 when, all of us will have forgotten that this bill even passed. So I don't know if that gives you some more comfort around, this sort of hiring spree that's planned, but this is employees of the IRS, not necessarily auditors or revenue collection agents. So I'm going to break that down for you in a minute also, based on the actual wording of what's in the bill that's being passed. I also wanted to highlight, in the initial analysis, they thought $80 billion of spend would bring in $316 billion of tax revenue, basically, a return of $4 for every dollar invested in the agency. But even if you look at the sort of annual breakdown of those numbers, roughly half, $153 billion of the 316 was in years 9 and 10, right? So it's going to take them a very long time to get traction. Even their initial assumptions were, the dollar amounts in years 1, 2, 3 weren't very large. So it's going to take a long time to hire people. Hiring is tough. Remember, the IRS is competing against all the accounting firms for all the accounting and tax talent, and the IRS doesn't pay as much as accounting firms do. So hiring will be tough. It's going to take 10 years to get this many people if they even find them in the first place. And then the payback or the extra revenue collected, assumptions in the first couple of years weren't all that great. But I thought the Inflation Reduction Act assumptions were that $200 billion of revenue would be raised by these investments, not even this $300 billion number. So where's this money going? So let's get to what actually is spelled out in the bill, right? So in the bill, I was able to find $94 billion of new funding for the IRS. The breakdown of that is enhancement of IRS services, $3.2 billion there. Tax enforcement activities, $45.7 billion, right? So I think this is the line item everyone's worried about, and it's still roughly half of the investment number that's passing. Operation support, I think we'd all applaud this based on the recent performance of the IRS. They're going to get $25.3 billion to improve operations at the IRS. Business systems modernization, $4.75 billion has been approved for that. Here's an interesting one. They're going to form a task force to design an IRS-run free direct e-file tax return, and they're going to spend $15 billion on that, and then a few other items as well. So each of these line items are going to break down for you to sort of spell out exactly what the verbiage in the bill is approving these dollars to spend. So on the first item, enhancing IRS services, $3.2 billion over the course of 10 years from now through September of 2031. They're going to spend that money to improve taxpayer services, things like pre-filing assistance in education, filing and account services, taxpayer advocacy services, and other services. So this spend is designed to improve the taxpayer experience, keep them informed on what the rules are. The IRS does put out a lot of sort of training videos, content, instructional type stuff for the average person to go to the website, the irs.gov website, and learn more about tax rules. Okay, so the next slide is the one we're all worried about. It's the tax enforcement activities and the $45.7 billion of planned spend there over the course of the next 10 years. So that money is geared towards the following items: determining and collecting taxes owed, providing legal and litigation support, conducting criminal investigations, including upgrading their investigative technology. They're going to provide for digital asset monitoring and compliance activities. That's an interesting one. Enforce criminal statutes related to tax law and financial crime violations. And then this was listed in the bill also, purchasing and hiring passenger motor vehicles. So I guess that's what gets these IRS agents around. Maybe they have a fleet of cars, or they just take Uber to get to where they're going. So not all the money's being spent on people, but most of it will. They're going to upgrade their technology and such. So we will see more audits, maybe not 87,000 people worth of audits, maybe half. Right, so if half the spend is being designated as tax enforcement, maybe half of those headcount numbers we're looking at would be geared towards IRS auditors. So my best guess is of the 87,000 new hires, maybe half, 42,000 over the course of 10 years, if they're able to find the people. Next item is operation support. This is the one we're all applauding because the IRS is way broken. Over the last couple of years, they're just not getting the day job done. So to improve their internal infrastructure, they're getting $25.3 billion over the course of the next 10 years to pay for basic things such as rent for their buildings, facility services, printing and postage. They're going to get ink for their printers. How about that? Physical security, right? So I'm sure some of you will make jokes about that, but I will not. Headquarters and other IRS-wide administrative activities, collecting and researching statistics on income, telecommunication upgrades, IT development, so computer upgrades, maintenance and security, and then the operations of the IRS Oversight Board. All these things are greatly needed in, let's say, rebuilding this department that has been underperforming just due to lack of funding and just archaic systems. So some upgrades there are actually welcome to help people like me do the job we're hired to do for you. So we're actually applauding this portion of the spend. This one too, business systems modernization. It's time for the IRS to get with the times. So they're getting $4.75 billion over the course of the next 10 years to upgrade their systems and bring them up to 2022 technology. So one of the things they're going to look into is the development of callback technology. I know one of the biggest gripes is calling the IRS and staying on hold for an hour or two. And if you're lucky to get through and talk to the human being, great. But wouldn't it be great to place a call sort of get in the queue, if you will, get a call back from the IRS when they've got an agent sitting there ready to take your call. So it'd be great if they could implement something like that. More technology to provide what they're calling a more personalized customer service, and then just the operating and maintenance of their old legacy systems. They need money to do that. The next item is also interesting, and I haven't heard much sort of reaction to this one, but they're developing a task force to design a free direct e-file tax return. $15 billion. This is not 10 years worth of spend. This is a 9-month task force. So they have until September 30th of next year to deliver a report to Congress. And what Congress is looking for is, what would it cost to develop and run an IRS-run free direct e-file tax return system, including the cost to build it, administer each release, put it in multiple languages, and make it mobile friendly with safeguards in place for taxpayer data. So Congress is very interested in creating a self-service, free for the taxpayer e-filing system that's automated. So this is the area of the bill that people like me maybe, but more so, let's say, Intuit with the TurboTax products, or H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, the Liberty Taxes of the world, their customer base or client base, who potentially should or could be able to file their own tax return for free if the IRS would just develop a system that allowed it and made it simple to do so. Let's see if this one grows legs and goes somewhere, right? So, I mean, that's a whopping amount of consulting fees and people, I assume, to spend in 1 year. So we'll see where this one goes, and if they get some traction on it, and I'll just keep you posted on if this is something we'll see in the near future or what the outcome of their analysis is. Okay, and that's it. So that's the planned spend. That's what's actually in the bill as far as where the money's going to go and what areas of the IRS are receiving the funding. Hopefully it puts you at ease a little bit as far as the timing of new hires and I guess the volume of headcount and enforcement activities. But I hope that answers your question. I'll dig deeper into other areas of the bill soon, and I'll get more messages out to you, and we'll be answering your questions. Have a good day.